Okay, today we're going to be looking at the torture memos and the Senate report on torture. This film was based on that particular study here. So let's take a look at some of these items. And I'm not going to get too into this. I'm just going to introduce you to some of the ideas. And some of these might be repetitive anyway. So here we are, March 14th of 2003. They're looking at the legal standards for governing military interrogation. So if you're going to get information from somebody, either from Afghanistan, from within the United States that has any connection to Al Qaeda, how are we going to go about getting information for that from that individual? So here they're looking at the Fifth and Eighth Amendment, and they're trying to figure out whether or not that extends to alien enemy combatants. So an alien enemy combatant means that this individual is probably not a U.S. citizen, and this individual has taken arms against the United States. In other words, he's probably engaged or is being accused of engaging U.S. soldiers on some level or trying to cause harm to the United States. So we no longer consider that individual to be a civilian. They seem to now get the title of combatant. So that's pretty much what this report is trying to look at. What are what can be done legally within the Constitution, within international law, and so on. So that's kind of where they're going with this. Here they're looking at, like it says here, indicate that federal criminal laws, general applicability, do not apply to the properly authorized interrogations of enemy combatants. So again, using that particular language. Here they're looking at laws that would apply to authorized military interrogation. So, if you're on the battlefield, let's say World War I, where, you have somebody in a trench that you have taken as a prisoner and you're going to try to interrogate. That just is a little different because keep in mind, there really is no war that's being declared. It's a war being declared by terrorist organizations, which is very different from like country A attacking country B. This seems to be a weird situation where you could have countries A, B, and C, and these dots represent, terrorist cells that are trying to actively cause harm to the United States. And so here the argument being used is that, well, we're going to consider these individuals to be combatants. However, if we capture these individuals in Afghanistan or, where there is a U.S. military presence engaging in war, that's just going to, further complicate the situation here. Part 3, they're looking at international law, this section right here. Notice international law, they're looking at the UN Convention Against Torture and other cruel, inhumane, and degrading treatment or punishment. So that's pretty much what this report is trying to look at. What are the measures that the United States can use when dealing with interrogation to get any information to prevent future terrorist attacks? Seems to be the key here. They're concerned about, as I said, international law. They're looking up the Constitution and trying to figure out, at what point can the Constitution can be applied. For example, if the individual happens to be in the United States, which is very different from being in Afghanistan, what if the individual happens to be a U.S. citizen? Here, I would ask you to think about the individual John Walker Lynn, who was a U.S. citizen who had committed acts of terrorism against the United States and aligned himself with Al Qaeda after 9/11. So these are all problematic issues. You definitely don't want to say, yes, we're going after terrorists in the globally, and then you have terrorists that are, American citizens that are engaging in comparable acts. They're mentioning here 9/11, the war with Al Qaeda. So here you have some summary. The leaders of Al Qaeda, the commander in chief, they're looking at his authority as the president of the United States. As it tells you here, the president has a responsibility to protect the security of the U.S., the decision to deploy military forces in defense of U.S. interests. Here again, talking about the presidential powers that are outlined in the Constitution. And so that's, for the most part, what this document here is about. It's looking at, the extent of torture, what counts as torture, and, this report that is going to provide the legal opinion for whether or not terrorism can take place. Keep in mind, the United States would be accused of waterboarding and other types of measures designed to get extract information. For example, in this particular image here, This is designed to simulate drowning, where you have a towel over the person's head and you are using water to try to torture the individual to extract information. This report is a little different. This is from the Senate. The Senate compiles their own report on, interrogation program and so on. And so this report, here we see the date 2014. This report is looking pretty much at similar ideas. At what point did the FBI, CIA, anybody operating international, domestic, that's trying to extract information, was anybody rights violated, international law? That's kind of where this particular piece comes from. So it tells you here. Let's see. They're going to send findings and conclusion, executive summary, final study on the CIA's detention interrogation program. Culmination of monumental effort, officially banned with the committee decision to initiate the study back in 2009. So here it's kind of outlining, why this study is going to exist and what exactly are they going to do. And they seem to be primarily concerned about the CIA measures, post 9/11. What exactly were they doing? That's pretty much what this particular document here is about. So as you're reading this, you'll see references, certain items blacked out. But ultimately, the goal here is to figure out what exactly happened with regard to the CIA when you've given them approval to engage in, as I mentioned here, enhanced interrogation techniques. So, like, what counts as an enhanced interrogation technique? And do the ends justify the means? So, if you read further into this particular document, it'll give you an idea of what those enhanced interrogation techniques look like. And that's it. So I'll leave that up to you to read and kind of make a determination about how you feel about the greater good with this particular piece here. That's it.